So why these relationships are so intense? And it's going to be very similar to twin flames, and also if you are an empath or a codependent, because these things are very similar, and I'm going to explain why. And I picked this question to make a video about it because this was the most asked question on Quora. And the answer I given was so upvoted by so many people, I thought I'd just turn it into a video to be more accessible for everyone. Hi, my name is Rita Simon, and today we are going to talk about where these intense emotions are coming from and where is this obsession is coming from, so you can use this information on your own healing and become integrated and whole. And I am passionate about this topic because I was in the same situation. I was so obsessed and I went down the rabbit hole. I was in such a dark place for such a long time, and all of these obsessions and anxiety, and I just couldn't do anything. I felt trapped, I felt stuck, and I tried to overcome, like when we were separated and I didn't know what to do. And many times for weeks and sometimes even a month, like the only thing I could think about is committing suicide. It was just so awful. And I really tried everything, like from hypnotherapy to watching tons of videos, just to get an understanding. And when everything kind of clicked together, that was really helpful. But the researching phase was so long, and that's why in this video I try to put together the things I found that really helped me to overcome the same thing. And the same thing is actually like twin flames are really obsessed about finding that perfect partner who is their true match and gives that wholeness, and they feel intensity. And empaths or codependents are exactly the same, but they don't call it twin flame, they just call it the perfect partner, and they are also looking for intensity. And these are very similar. I don't want to argue which is true, which is not true. It makes no sense, because at the very core, what you feel is actually your childhood wounds, the trauma. So you have the inner child, and I'm showing the body because the trauma is stored in the body. And your body is your nervous systems. You don't have a brain in the body, but you have nerves in the brain. And it's going to give you a clue. And there is a very good book, The Body Keeps the Score. And it explains that in order to overcome a trauma, we have to re-experience the trauma and bring a different outcome to it. And that's how we overcome a trauma. And in order to understand your obsession and your intensity, you have to understand these separate parts. So your nervous system, the attachment system that is related to relationships is very, very active. And it's the most active in childhood when we depend on the caretaker. And when you are in this intensity, you are actually reliving your trauma over and over, and you try to overcome it by recreating it. So subconsciously, your nervous system knows what you need. But the problem is that your cognition is unable to overcome it. So you repeat the same experiences, the same trauma over and over and over, because you don't have the awareness to recognize that, what should I look for? And then we come to the head, and I didn't say sorry. So the body is the chaser. So this is the chaser, this is the anxious-preoccupied attachment type. These are the codependent. And the head is going to be generally a more narcissistic, cognitive person, and this is the runner, who had the exact same childhood trauma. So the trauma is the same, but the strategy is the opposite. So deep down, you have the same wound, but you have two different versions of yourself, two different defense strategies. And this strategy is that I'm going to disconnect from my emotions and I'm going to run away from them. And when it becomes too emotional, too painful, too impulsive, too hurtful, I just detach, because they are more connected to the rules, their boundaries, and this part of the brain, and this is the prefrontal cortex, and this is impulse control. So the problem with the head type people, that they are not connected enough with their emotions, and that's why they feel empty. That anything they achieve, because everything is so external, they feel this emptiness. And people who are more body-based, they feel their impulses, so they really feel embodied, but the problem is that their life feels chaotic. And a healthy integrated person is actually these two, the head and the body, communicate in a healthy way. And this is what the integration is. And that's why you attract each other. The runner and the chaser, the anxious-preoccupied with the avoidant, the narcissist with the codependent empath, because these are, the nervous system feels that it's opposite and it's something that you need, and it brings up the trauma from the body in front of you, and it keeps showing it to you, and it will keep showing it to you until you understand what that means, until you become aware that where is it coming from? Why I keep repeating the same thing? So the trauma that comes up can get a different cognitive understanding. And when you have this understanding, what happens is that you recognize that this is a part of yourself, that's your shadow, that you repress. So it's not strong enough. And when you make these two and equal, and you make them understand each other, that's when you create integration and wholeness. And that's when you become less reactive and you feel self-love. You will still feel self-worth, and you don't feel the need that someone outside of you has to give that. So you will be able to detach from the person, and it means that you see yourself separately from the person. It's not about what the person does for you, how much the person loves you. You can see yourself as a separate person, and that's when you don't become jealous and reactive. You can be very grounded. You are still connected to the person, but instead of being codependent, because the body is the codependent and the head is going to be the independent, but both of them are wrong in a way that we are all interdependent people, and this is where the disagreement is. And this intensity is actually coming from, again, from the body, from the nervous system, because the nervous system really likes, it attracts to the opposite, and this creates intensity. And the deeper the wound is, the bigger the chemistry is going to be, because the bigger the difference is. So just imagine when you are here and the partner is here, the difference is not as much, but just imagine when it's like this. And actually this is what the twin flame thing is. That for example, I had many relationships and I had 2 twin flame connections, and the first one wasn't as intense as the second one. Both of them started exactly the same way, that I didn't see the person, I feel this pull, there was an energetic pull, and that's when I was like, okay, what's happening? And I knew exactly who that person was, and I got energetically connected. I believe it's the aura syncs. So it feels that that person is, for example, positive and I am the negative, and there is something in it, and they click because they create 0. And then it feels like you are bounded automatically, and you give this automatic trust for the person. And the second one was a lot deeper and it was a lot more intense. It felt like our energy connected on every level, and when we were together, the feeling was that when I hugged him, I felt whole, that the whole world just ceased to exist. And when he was away, I was in this constant anxiety. I couldn't stop thinking of him. I was in this place where I was a complete mess. And the funny thing here is that before, nearly 10 years before it happened, that's when I started to change, I was still in the avoidant part. So I changed myself with relationships and also with inner work, and I moved from a more heady runner, narcissistic type person into a more body-based, chaser, anxious, preoccupied person. And I connected these two versions of myself, and actually it triggered a Kundalini awakening, and I had plenty of mysterious experiences after that. But I became very peaceful and very calm. And what I had to learn is it's actually self-love and self-acceptance, because what you actually want from the partner, that's this obsession and compulsion, is if you love me, then I feel worthy and I feel valuable for love. And it's coming from your childhood trauma that you didn't feel your parents loved you, so you are not lovable. And this is what you crave, that if someone loves you and continuously loves you, then you are lovable. But you have to learn that you have to love yourself first in order to be loved. And this is an insecurity that you have to figure out how to solve, because everyone is individual, so every single case is going to be somewhat different, but understanding this duality will greatly help you. And this last part is going to be for people who are interested about the twin flames, that you have to understand that the life lesson is going to be different for everyone. And for some people, the life lesson is that you have to let the other person go, and you are going to meet in another life, maybe or maybe not. And this was actually my case. I got connected to one of my past lives, and I have lived with that past life person that was my husband for nearly 200 years. I will put a video where I share my experiences. And he helped me a lot in this life when we were talking greatly in my self-development and even connecting with that person. And I had a trauma in that life that I love my husband very much, and I lost him, he died, and I couldn't overcome that, and I have committed suicide. And in this life, I had to learn to relive the exact same trauma, that sometimes you love someone with all your heart and the other person loves you very much, but the circumstances just don't allow you to be together, and you have to be okay with that. And this was my life lesson that I had to accept. So I'm only saying this because so many people get very obsessed, and I just want to put it out that you don't know what lesson you have to learn, because maybe you are not meant to be together in this life, or maybe this person you meet is just a preparation for even a deeper connection with someone else, because you can't expect that there will be just one person, you live your life, there is this one magical moment and everything is going to be perfect. No, awakening and connecting, that's lots of teeny tiny changes, and many times even when the person is not a twin flame connection, is going to help you greatly if you become emotional, because anyone who triggers emotions out of you will show you what's down there. and you can see it now consciously as an adult, because the problem is that when you are a child, you don't have a fully functioning brain, because we have a fully functioning brain around age 25. And many times we feel hurt and we feel traumatized, but that's actually coming from an unrealistic expectation. And now you have to relive all of these things coming up at once, and you have to try and make sense out of it and put things into order in your head, in your perception, because the impulses coming up from your body, they go into your brain, and the brain, whatever patterns you have in your brain, is going to create a feeling, and actually that creates the feeling. So if the perceptions are wrong, the feeling is going to be incorrect. And also if you are very, very impulsive, that is going to trigger your brain a lot more.